The following is presented by the Cheeky Bastards.
Brace for impact, buckeroos, because your skulls are about to take a gargantuan blast of action-packed jackassery to the fucking ear holes. And audio exposure so mind-numbing extreme protective headwear should be mandatory to listen to this level of inane horseshit. So lock and load, buttercups, and prepare your tiny minds for your monthly assault of grade A action movie mayhem, filled with enough high-octane carnage, insane shootouts, and nose-busting fisticuffs that Michael Bay himself would weep like the little product placement bitch that he is. Now duck and cover, my little cupcakes, because it's time for the Men of Action podcast, a show packed with enough testosterone-filled bravado it could take down a small nation. So here are your hosts, those cheeky bastards themselves. From America, it's the notorious Scott K, and from England, it's the cynical Mr. Smith. They may be secret meat, but you can bet your ass they're packing some serious fucking heat. Shit's about to get explosive.
Ho, 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 you slag John sons of bitches, and welcome to the Cheeky Bastards are the Men of Action podcast. Same old bastards, brand new show direction. I'm the notorious Scott K.
Ho, ho, ho. No, not really. Hello, everybody. This is Steve from the UK.
And we will be your cantankerous, opinionated hosts on this new monthly action-filled quest where we pit two kick-ass action films from an action star or action director's catalog against one another in a no-holds-barred battle to the death to see which one truly reigns supreme. Being that it's the season of giving, for our first episode of this new journey, we're giving you, our loyal listeners, the explosive gift of two violent Christmas action movies, battling it out to see who gets to play Santa and who gets to be his sack. But before we roast some bad guys' nuts on an open fire, it is my pleasure to welcome in my heterosexual life mate, Mr. Steve fucking Smith. Mr. Smith, happy holidays to you, although we are recording in November, a little early. However, if you know anything about capitalism, Christmas season starts November fucking 1, and we are a couple days in, so there are Christmas trees everywhere, there's presents being wrapped, there's jingles and bells, and elves sucking dick everywhere. So
It's my favorite time of the year.
Mine
that's
as well.
For sure. But let's just keep it to December.
Well,
yeah.
Funny thing is we have Thanksgiving, so like Thanksgiving is just the American way of like, we're going to get fat, we're going to forget how we got to this place, and we're going to celebrate.
So when you talk about Christmas movies, that always breaks my heart that Planes, Trains and Automobiles isn't a Christmas movie. You know,
Well,
for some reason, I always thought it was a Christmas movie.
I know. It's a Thanksgiving movie, which by the time our listeners are listening to this, Thanksgiving the movie will be out. So next year at this time, maybe we'll have another special where we look at it could be a turkey. Yeah, I'm hoping not.
I hope he fucks the turkey.
I hope he fucks the turkey and we get stuffed.
But I hope it's not a turkey, but at this point, with Eli Roth, he's not been on an upward trajectory, has he? You know, so.
He hasn't, but I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for this to be good.
He's a little bit like I always think he's a little bit like Rob Zombie. He talks a good game and he's got a good knowledge of horror movies. Yet he can't seem to translate it to the screen very well. So it really is all up in the air at the moment.
Well, we're gonna find out if his 2.5 minute trailer from Grindhouse can translate into a great hour 40 fucking gore fest.
Well, we'll always have the trailer. We've got that at least. Well, at least we'll always have that.
We'll always have that trailer for anything else. If you want to see grandma's version of a turkey get fucked, get stuffed by the killer. Well,
exactly. There's no need to.
How about this? If nothing else happens in that film but that, I will be ecstatic.
Well, that's
I might stand up and give it a round of applause. In the theater, I might stand up and just give it, and there may be a tear shed, because that was what made that trailer. It just, it's just built to that being like the crescendo, and you're just like,
that was amazing.
The rest of the family sitting at the table and watching grandma as a turkey get fucked.
We have some fun.
We are
guys?
Twisted fucks. So the reason we have once again pivoted, as you can see, is we had a fucking blast, which would be a surprise considering the first year of the podcast, as all we did was shit on Michael Bay. But Mr. Smith and I had a real blast going through these action movies, good or bad. And so we were like, we really enjoyed talking about them. We enjoyed our time, even with Petros, going through them, talking shit to each other, people forgetting how ratings and rankings work on movies. So it was a good time.
Hey.
And we decided that, you know what, we could continue to try to come up with ways to, decide this or that. But we thought, let's talk about action films, maybe from a director, maybe from the same star, and maybe not their bread and butter ones, but ones that are definitely will be known, but aren't the ones that are talked to death. Like, you won't hear us talk about Die Hard or Predator or Aliens. We're not going to go into the ones that everyone fucking knows. But we might jump into some of the ones from some of those actors/actresses/directors that deserve more, as Steve likes to say, reappraise them. And then we're going to have a fun way of doing it.
We're not going obscure necessarily.
No.
Just ones that deserve, another look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most likely some of the sequels that may not, that may have been a surprise that you go, oh, wow, it is as good or better than the original kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we're also going to pit them against each other. So we each pick a film, and each of these films we both love. So these aren't like a battle like whose film do we love more. But now we watch them back to back together. Well, not together, but you know what I mean. We don't hold hands and have popcorn. But Steve does look at a picture of me, and every now and again pauses the video and maybe takes a side note. Over here. Anyway, so we're then going to talk about them, have a fun discussion, and decide which film we think actually was the better of the film based on a bunch of circumstances. And it's just all opinionated. Some of you are going to disagree with us, which is what we enjoy. We're going to disagree with each other. And, at the end of the day, it's going to be just like a regular Christmas. Families are going to break up. Everyone's going to hate each other. And no one's going to get what they want. So, welcome to the Cheeky Bastards Christmas special.
Ho, ho, ho.
But we have to say one thing, and that is we want to thank again Mr. Ryan Rebelkin for adding us to the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, where he also added earlier in the year our Dropping of Bruce. And we are very thankful for everyone who listens to our other show and who now listens to this. We hope that this is another good feather in the cap of the podcast network and not just a steaming pile of turd, which is what we're going to discuss in a few minutes. Anyway, so hopefully we are not on the pure horseshit list for his podcast, and we're on the recommendation list instead.
Give us a chance, please.
All we are saying is give us a chance. If this doesn't work out, we're going to become crooners.
I think there's going to be a lot of... We're going to burst into song a few times doing this.
All right, so before we go into the Ebenezer Scrooge portion of the podcast, and one of my favorites, which we have not had an opportunity to do for 3 months.
No.
So I feel a little rusty.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do.
This is why, I was messaging you a few things. I was like, man, I feel like I'm new to the game.
I know. I had to put on our pure horseshit, a Nicolas Cage film, which is I put in our post. It hurt me a lot to do. It was not one of the best. It was like one of the worst films. By worst, it wasn't as good a film. So it was the worst film I could recommend not to watch.
Yeah, not
and
not
it hurt to put that on there. Like, I sat there going, I even tried to watch other movies so it wouldn't be the one. I could not find one. I was like, God damn it. Nothing else shitty came out that I wanted.
I've had some problems finding a bad movie. There's a couple I thought were a shoo-in for being pieces of shit, and then by the time they finished, I was like, man, I really don't want to say they are, because in certain ways they delivered, and I don't think they deserve. But I did, man. I found a real piece of shit.
I did as well, and the other thing is we had some good recommendations.
Yes,
that I couldn't talk about because
I've been sneaky, right? Because when we get to my recommendation in a moment. I saw this about a month ago, and I was like, man, I'm not going to just let this... You held it?
I did that too.
Yeah, I've held back on this, because I was like, no, I want to talk to you about this one.
Actually, funny thing is this recommendation was supposed to be for our last one. It's going to be posted by the time people hear this. With our next episode, the last episode for the Bayhem is on Tuesday, and I actually used the ones from Tuesday for today, and I was like, I'll put something new on those ones because I really wanted to talk about these.
yeah. So I've held back on talking about it because I was like, man, I want to talk about this one. I didn't want a JPEG to be the only thing this movie gets. So anyway, yeah.
Well, as we kick off our Christmas special, we will start with some good old-fashioned grandma's cookies, our gourmet recommendations for December 2023, the last of this year.
Yes.
It's time for the Cheeky Bastards monthly movie or show recommendations.
Damn, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet shit.
And it is an even month, which means I should say an even episode, as I get to go first. And mine comes from this year, from 2023. It is El Conde. This is a black and white Chilean dark comedy horror film from Pablo Larraín. It portrays a Chilean director as a 250-year-old vampire who's tired of life and just wants to fucking die already. This beautifully crafted cinematic masterpiece captivates its audience from start to finish, with its engaging storyline, compelling characters, and stunning cinematography. It's got plenty of hilarious dark humor, gruesome, gory violence, and a truly unique retelling of the vampire story. El Conde is a true work of art that leaves you mesmerized. The talented cast and director's visions comes together to create an unforgettable viewing experience that will resonate with you long after the credits roll. El Conde, which means the Count, is a must-see horror movie for fans who love horror and are sick, twisted fucks like myself. It will undoubtedly leave an impression on you long after viewing it. This came out on Netflix recently in September, or maybe early October. It was spectacular. It is like the Coen brothers decided to do a black and white Spanish-themed fucking vampire movie. It was fucking spectacular. It is right up your fucking alley, dude. Like,
I've never even heard of it.
I hadn't either, and it just wasn't one of those things like new to what's it called? And I saw that it was in black and white, and so I let if you go over Netflix, it plays the little blur. You can kind of watch the thing. I was like, you know what? This kind of looks fun, and I watched it, and I was mesmerized. But I was like, this was great. I was like so ecstatic. I was like, I can't wait to recommend it, and hopefully Steve gets a chance to see it, because honestly, once you watch it, you will say that's a Coen Brothers movie that just did a black and white vampire horror movie. It was really, really fun.
It's on my list.
Yes,
yeah,
and I know I'm offering this up at Christmas time, 2 months post, but hey, look, it is what it is. Michael Bay really interfered with some things this year, right, folks? Michael Bay took up 3 months. So that is my recommendation for December 2023. El Conde, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and I do apologize. I'm an American. I'm an idiot. What are you going to do? All right? This is certified gourmet. I must say, it's subtitled. So if you don't like to read, oh no. If you don't want to read a book, you know what I mean? You might not like it.
Oh, I'm in. I want to see this.
Mr. Smith, what is your recommendation for us for December 2023?
Okay, so like I say, I saw this about a month ago, and because we weren't getting to talk about our recommendations, I wanted to hold back on this one because this blew my mind. There's a film called God is a Bullet. Came out this year. Okay, so it stars Nicolás Coster-Waldau, who he's in Game of Thrones. You'd recognize him. He looks a bit like Aaron Eckhart with a fucking beard.
He plays Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. For those of you who know Game of Thrones.
I didn't see Game of Thrones.
I know exactly.
I know he's in it. So it stars him. It stars a young lady by the name of Maika Monroe, who's in It Follows. She's the lead girl in It Follows, and she's also in The Guest. And it also stars Mr. Jamie Foxx.
I've seen this trailer. I know. As soon as you said it, yeah.
So this is based on the true crime novel of the same name. The film follows Detective Bob Hightower, who finds his ex-wife murdered and his teenage daughter kidnapped by an insidious satanic cult. Hightower takes matters into his own hands and infiltrates the secretive cult with the help of the cult's only female victim escapee, Case Harden. Hightower and Harden team up with the Ferryman, a shadowy social renegade, to save Bob's daughter and to find closure for Harden from the cult and its maniacal leader, Cyrus. Now, it's directed by Nick Cassavetes as well. So this is Grindhouse, basically. It's kind of like Art House meets Grindhouse. There's elements of Mandy, almost. It's basically, it says based on a true story, but probably like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on a true story, yeah? It's kind of like, I'm sure a cop's, daughter got taken in by some gang and he had some female help to get her back. But what happens? That's not what happens in this movie. Yeah,
kind of like our movies are based on true stories. They're kind of like Santa Claus.
yeah, exactly. But honestly, this is ultra violent, surreal, fucked up. Only thing it's a bit long. Okay, it's a little bit long, but I will take that because this will blow minds. It's already been forgotten because it's like a pretty much a straight to streaming movie on like Hulu or some shit like that. But Jamie Foxx is in it with this like I think he's got like this skin pigmentation like problem, so he's got this like weird like birthmark type stuff, and it just goes in such wild directions that I can't even begin really to get into. So that is my recommendation for this month. God is a Bullet, directed by Nick Cassavetes. It'll fucking blow your mind.
This is certified gourmet. I had it on my list to see when I remember seeing the trailer, and now that you've recommended it, we're coming up on the winter months. Get to sit home and watch a few more movies now, so I'm looking forward to this.
Well, if that didn't entice you enough, one of the assistant directors has got an eye patch, okay? So I'm just saying, that's how badass this movie is.
That's foreshadowing as well.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, not only is it badass because Nick Cassavetes is directing it, the AD's got a fucking eye patch.
If folks, you could have seen his look. He was like, what are you talking about eye patch? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. In the movie I recommended. Oh, it's there.
But yeah, so.
And now, it gives me great joy to put on my Ebenezer Scrooge hat for our pure horseshit, stay the fuck away from recommendations for Christmas 2023.
This is some serious horse shit.
Horse shit.
Horse shit. Horse shit.
And this is horse shit.
Horse shit. Ah, horse shit.
It's horse shit. Horse shit. Horse shit. Horse shit. Yes.
I will bah humbug 2022's supposed action movie, Run and Gun. This steaming pile of watery horseshit is brought to us by Christopher Borelli. To say it's a lackluster and forgettable piece of shit production is an understatement. This fucking limp dick film fails to deliver on any meaningful level. Plot is predictable, the characters are one-dimensional, and the overall quality of the films leaves much to be desired. From the uninspired acting of dopey-eyed lead Ben Milliken to the shoddy AV Club cinematography, Run and Gun is a prime example of a movie that is simply not worth your time and should never have been fucking made in the first place. The entire premise of this movie is a man who is supposed to be along the lines of maybe a John Wick where his reputation precedes him. We never see his reputation. I don't know what the whole hubbub is about this guy. He's supposed to be some badass, and he is just a limp dick, whiny. You hope he dies throughout the whole film, and unfortunately, you don't even get that satisfaction at the end. So save yourself the disappointment and boredom, and instead, sift through old photo albums of your deceased elders, because that would be a more engaging and worthwhile use of your time than this hunk of watery, peanutless horseshit.
Wow.
This is certified horseshit.
Well, I've never heard of this movie, so fuck it.
It was on Hulu.
Well,
it had a pretty cool, you know, got me? It had a pretty cool fucking movie poster. I said,
every time.
I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I was like, it had like, what is it? It had like a 70s kind of feel to it. Like, what's that one? Free Fire. It had like a Free Fire looking poster. And I thought, why not? And then I kind of saw a little bit of the trailer. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And oh my God. And the only reason I stuck with it, I was like, because this was I knew it was like, there's my horse shit of the month. I was like, we got it. It's like ding, 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 but I got to finish it. I got to do, I got to pay my penance.
Due diligence.
I do. I have to. I have to take the beating. I just can't.
No,
I hoped at some point it was going to change. Like there's a black gentleman in it who it was twins, but may have played the same character. There's no reason for it. They both died. It's just all over the place. There's no, you're like, what the fuck is happening? So yeah, stay away from Run and fucking Gun. Run and grab a gun if anyone tries to make you watch this fucking film. Mr. Smith, close this out on our Ebenezer Scrooge portion of the pure horseshit stay fuck away from recommendation for Christmas 2023.
Okay, now this would be quick because this movie was terrible, but I've really had trouble finding a shitty movie this month. And I said to you that I watched... Right, so I watched Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, thinking it was going to be a piece of shit, but I can't in all good conscience put that in the shit category. That's like a little mini extra recommendation, and I'm only saying that because I've got so little to say about the next movie I watched that this will be over too quickly, and you just think I haven't done any homework, all right? So a little sneaky extra, go watch Welcome to Raccoon City Resident Evil. It'll blow your fucking mind. It is shitty, but you know, you kind of...
But in a good way.
Yeah, you're kind of into it. You're like, man, you were really throwing everything at this. Anyway, so last night, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for found footage movies, okay? Now, for every good one, there's 50 shitty ones. And so it's fraught with danger. So I watched one last night that came out this year called Project Eerie, Okay. Basically, it's Halloween 2020. For whatever reason, it's 2020 makes not a fucking lick of sense. Jesse and Jacob Warner disappeared while live streaming on social media. This is that live stream. Now, that's not even true. Okay. So basically, these two kids on Halloween, they break into this kind of like government facility. It's like a decrepit one though. It's like been left years, you know.
Yeah.
And they're just like fucking around and they're smashing windows and shit. And they find some old like sort of just some old like bits of like information that got left behind, just like, you know, files and stuff that I don't really give anything away. But amongst these files, they find a DVD-R. So they take it home. They get kind of security guards come along and they run away. They go home and they put the video on. And basically that's just the setup for the next hour. And you're now just going to watch what's on this tape. And it's just a series of unrelated segments that basically the guy who made this has got a bunch of Halloween masks at home and didn't know what to do with them. And he thought, I'll make a movie.
He was like, do I do heat? No.
Yeah,
all right,
I know what I'll do. So basically, there's like these like 3 or 4, like one of them's like the Amish Witch Project or something. So basically, they've got a friend with a funky beard, right? So they're like, hey, be Amish for us in this episode, or Amish, or whatever the fuck you want to pronounce it. So they're like, be Amish for us in this episode, in this like segment, and we're going to do like a shitty haunted house thing. Check. Then they're like, well, we've got a monster, we've got a fucking astronaut outfit from Halloween. Let's pretend the guy's crash landed back on Earth. Grab us that shitty mask from over there. We'll have him be a monster. Check. So there's just all these, but they're so shitty, and that really is so insulting that these fuckers can get a movie like out there. You know, because I've seen posters for it. You know, I've seen like this doesn't even deserve me shitting all over it. That's how bad it is. But I think you'll know what I mean. There are so many found footage movies, and they are, for the most part, you know, yeah, you've got your Cannibal Holocaust, you've got your Blair Witch, you've got your Wreck 1 and 2. The other 2 suck, but you know, so you occasionally get a good one, but this is bottom of the fucking pile. This is talentless fucks, and apparently this guy's made a few others, and I'm not interested. You know, like that's almost like he did some earlier stuff. Maybe I'll check that out. No, okay, because that's bound to be cheaper than this stuff, and this is fucking cheap as shit. So fuck this movie, Project Eerie. And let me just give you the guy's name. Ricky Umberger, his name is. So, fuck that guy.
This is certified horseshit.
This is your second straight found footage.
I know.
Stay the fuck away from it in a row. Maybe what you need to learn is you need to stay the fuck away from these as a movie.
I get it.
Like, you got to stop getting suckered in.
I find them so hard to resist because in their defense, they're usually quite short. So I thought, if I'm going to watch a piece of shit, I'd rather watch a short one. But man,
you like this thing, like, I like fat bottomed girls, but every time I get with one, they beat my ass. So maybe we stay away from fat bottomed girls for a little bit.
That's true as well.
And maybe don't keep catching a beating.
Well, that's true as well, but I was hoping we weren't going to go there. But yeah, so Project Eerie, Ricky Umberger, go fuck yourself.
Actually, Ricky, you and Christopher Relic can dock and fuck off, all right?
Yeah.
We're done with you both.
You, sir, are a horseshit artist.
All right, so brings us to our brand new moment, our battle royale between 2 violent Christmas holiday films, Fatman and Violent Night.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, our Santa Smackdown main event. In the red corner is the 2020 American black comedy action film, Fatman. And in the blue corner is the 2022 American Christmas action comedy, Violent Night. So get ready for a no-holds-barred head-to-head collision of these 2 Christmas action movie behemoths. 2 movies enter, only 1 movie leaves. It's time for the Men of Action's movie face-off.
Let's get ready to rumble!
First up, in the red corner, it's Steve Smith's pick, Fatman.
It's time for the tale of the tape. Fatman was written and directed by Esham and Ian Nelms. Starring Mel Gibson, Walton Goggins, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Chance Hurtsfield, Robert Boxdale, Eric Wolf, Susan Suchy, and Deborah Grover. Made on a budget of $20 million and grossing $1.7 at the box office. It holds a 5.9 rating on IMDb and a 44 critics and 84 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Steve gives this 3.5 stars, while Scott gave it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. A rowdy, unorthodox Santa Claus is fighting to save his declining business. Meanwhile, Billy, a neglected and precocious 12-year-old, hires a hitman to kill Santa after receiving a lump of coal in his stocking in Saving Films' Fatman.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've lost my influence. Maybe it's time I retired the coat.
You still have it.
Some kids with a deer rifle put 2 holes in the sleigh, one in me. All I have is a loathing for a world that's forgotten.
The United States military would like to procure your services.
This is a one-time deal, gentlemen. How are you, Mike? Nicole and the kids are well, I hope.
Where are you?
You just lost a big son, Fatman!
What's the job?
I'd like you to kill Santa Claus.
I'm looking for the Fat Man. You can't be serious.
This is what people actually think of me. Christmas is a farce. I am a joke.
What's the purpose of your visit?
Hunting. I'm gonna kill some things.
There is a rising number of our youth making poor decisions.
Want the big man's head.
Severed heads rot, they mold.
Then I want his beard.
I'm not shaving off a dead man's beard.
Your workers sure have healthy appetites.
That's why elves live much longer than humans.
And Chris, he does the same?
No, it's a giving that keeps him young.
I've come for your head, Fat Man!
Dashing through the snow, no one horse open sleigh.
You think you're the first?
All the fields will go,
Think I got this job because I'm fat and jolly?
laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh.
Oh, come while you sleep. The fat man's got his eye on you, kid.
Hey, whoa!
Oh, that's Donner. Lucky it wasn't Blitzer. Should tear your package clean off.
So, Fatman was written and directed by Esham and Ian Nelms, 2 brothers. They've got a track record. They've done a few movies. Among the production credits, we've got David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. Now, a few years ago, I would have seen that as a positive.
Yes.
But these fuckers ruined these fuckers ruined Halloween, and they've now done it to The Exorcist.
Yep.
So that's not a plus
Stay in
anymore.
your lane.
But I think they're executive producers on this, so they kind of just gave their name to it to maybe boost it up a little bit. Now, in 2020, when this came out, nothing was making money. I'm not giving that as an excuse as to why this didn't make any money, but nothing was making money in 2020. You know, it did play on selected theaters, but it did really actually on Apple TV, Google Play, Netflix. It did really well. So you know, moderately successful, we'll say, but that's on the home streaming market.
Well, this came out at the end of 2020. We were still pretty much closed off from movie theaters.
Yeah.
A lot of movie theaters still hadn't opened. They didn't really open up till springtime of 2021.
Let's be honest, they're still suffering now to an extent.
So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me they did well in streaming because we were streaming the shit out of things in 2020, 2021.
Now, not to jump too far ahead of myself, but this movie is a bit of a hard sell in a lot of ways, really. So, in the cast, you know, you got Mel Gibson,
Yep.
as Kris Kringle.
As Chris.
As Ruth Kringle, you've got Marianne Jean-Baptiste. Billy Wennon is played by Chance Hurstfield, and we have the assassin, Jonathan Miller, played by Mr. Walton Goggins. My man. Mm-hmm. My man. So the film was written in 2006,
Jesus.
but was likely put in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was written in 2006, and it was likely put into production in 2019 when a possibly down on his luck Mel Gibson signed on to star. Chance Hurstfield, who plays Billy, the vile little kid in it, he was cast by the filmmakers because he resembled conservative podcaster Ben Shapiro, who serves as a model for a scorned and weird child. Now after now you've got that
That's
knowledge.
awesome.
That is awesome because he fucking totally does.
Yes.
Eric, right? So in the film, the elves, they've just got numbers to their names, haven't they? Yeah. So there's elves.
Because Santa doesn't have fucking time to know names, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
And number 7 tells
us. This Santa has got enough on his mind that he don't want to be dealing with that. Anyway, but in the cast there is an actor called Eric Wolf, and he plays the main elf, Elf 7, the foreman elf.
Mm-hmm.
He also plays a character called Foreman Elf in a film called A Christmas Horror Story, which came out in 2015. So this poor guy's been elf cast, basically. There's a climactic bloody shootout between Kris Kringle and Jonathan Miller, the hitman, which took 4 days to film and was filmed in temperatures as low as 36 below 0 Celsius. But I mean, you're filming in Canada. In the fucking in the winter.
In the winter.
What do you expect?
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's just a few tidbits of information behind the scenes of the film.
When did you first see the film?
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw it when it came out
in 2020. So you saw it in the Christmas time of 2020, early January of 21.
Yeah, I first chance I had to get it. I probably obtained an illegal download at some point off of a shady individual who will remain nameless, although I did name him earlier in another episode.
I will say one day this show was going to come to a halt because of Interpol, not because of anything else. Interpol will kick down a door one day when we're recording, and that's it for the cheeky bastards.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. So, but no, I was like, I'm a huge Mel Gibson fan, so as soon I saw the trailer and my mind was just immediately blown. I literally saw it for the second time, a week or so ago. I do tend to call it kind of a hard sell, this one, because there is some actual quite sweet sentimentality to it between Kris Kringle and his wife, and he's genuinely worried for the employment of his elves, and he's lamenting the fact that, there's more really the film is about the fact that there's more badly behaved kids than ever, so people aren't wanting his toys anymore. So there is some heart and soul to it, but there's also some real darkness to it. So it's kind of like it has to do this juggling act. Whether it does it successfully is subjective. It's down to you, really, I think. But yeah, I mean, so you've seen this. You've seen it for the first time.
First time.
I mean, I don't know how. Yeah, I was just going to quickly say I don't know how available the film is anyway. Is it easy to find?
I think it was on Peacock. I think I streamed it for free on Peacock.
Okay.
So it's here in America at the NBC streaming service. Our channel, is Peacock. So you may not but so it's easy to find on Peacock. I remember, and you remember our old podcast. I remember myself and Matt saying something about this film that was coming out when we were doing the Watch Us or Die podcast. I let it slip by. I don't know what happened.
It happens.
Who knows? I completely forgot about it. And so since that happened, when you brought it up and we were going to do this, like, all right, I finally wanted to see it. So again, I'm a person who separates the actor from their personal life.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. We all know about Tom Cruise outside of acting. When the cameras aren't rolling, you don't know if you want to be hanging out with Tom Cruise.
Well put.
Mel Gibson's had his own checker past, but I'm a fan of his films. I think you can split the two things. I'm a fan of Michael Jackson's music. I know what he is as a person. So, there's the two sides of those coins. I get it. So I don't go into a movie with Mel Gibson. You just bring a bit of maturity
to proceedings, don't you?
I will say, though, having a bit of this past does add a little bit to his role when he's in Dragged Across Concrete, and adds a little bit in this movie.
I'm sure that's
it gives you a little bit of that.
And Godfather as well. I'm sure these things aren't lost on him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, it does give a little bit of it adds a little, takes the shine off of him as this pristine Hollywood actor that he probably had for a long time until his drinking problems got him in a little bit of trouble. trouble.
Yeah.
All
No,
right?
absolutely.
When has drinking not got anyone in a little bit of trouble? No one's ever been like, that guy saved 7 people in a burning building. He was drunk out of his mind. That never happens.
No.
That's usually the guy who set the building on fire.
Exactly.
While he was being against it.
Yeah.
So,
But
anyway,
no, you're right. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. The only thing is because when I watch it, this is what we'll talk about in our wrap up of the showdown. I don't know that it's a Christmas film because this really is taking place in the new year, and we've really just sidestepped Christmas. Like it's an interesting take on the film. Is the filmmakers decided it's Santa's a character, but we're not talking about Christmas because we have Christmas night, but it's literally he gets on a sleigh and then we see the door shut, and he comes back wounded. Christmas is not even a part of it, and it's like what happens post Christmas and why the government shows up and all this other stuff happens.
Well, there's a lot going on. And I think
so
it's
it decided to skip Christmas, which I liked.
But it's the fact that Christmas is in trouble.
Yes.
The next Christmas is in trouble, and the film is about can he pull it all together.
Yeah.
So there's a Christmas next year. I would argue that.
Is it also fun that Santa is technically on welfare? Is that also a little fun that Santa is subsidized by
but there's a lot of subtext with it.
Like, isn't that kind of like I was like, is Santa on welfare? I was like, this is awesome.
It's satire, isn't it? It's subversive.
100%.
There's high concept. You talking about that black and white vampire movie, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Do you not think this is a bit Coen-esque as well?
Oh, it's dark.
There's an element, it's black comedy, it's gritty thriller, it's got something to say about capitalist greed and family values.
God, yes.
So it's like you can appreciate it at a base level, but underneath this, under the surface. But my thing is, this is quite dark, this film. And I'm like, I don't know who knows? Maybe it was aimed at Mel Gibson fans.
Even Mel's portrayal of Santa, it's probably the most off-center of any portrayal. Because we're starting to get these portrayals of Santa that is like even in the movie we'll talk about in a little bit, where Santa's kind of like tired of the bullshit, right? like the seeing that the Christmas spirit is disappearing, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But the one thing that this Santa is not, there's not jolly. Like, this is like cheeky bastards, Steve curmudgeonly Santa. Like, this Santa barely wants to. I mean, I do like that they even toned down the suit. He barely is just wearing jeans and work boots, like throws on a red coat. Like, he could give 2 shits about being Santa, which I love about. Well, he's just so done with being Santa. He's like, I want to fuck him retire.
But I do think Mel Gibson sort of underplays it a bit. He doesn't growl and grunt his way through it like he is known to do sometimes. He kind of growls and grunts.
We do get a few of them though. We do get a couple moments.
We get some Mad Mel goodness.
We
in
do.
There.
Yes, we do.
But I think he underplays it for the most part, and I think the relationship between him and his wife is really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
She really is kind of like behind every man is a stronger woman.
And I like that she has a British accent and they just fucking leave it. Like, I like the fact, we don't try to affect different accents or make a character be something it's not.
Or he suddenly says, well, when I met you in London and that.
Exactly, we just leave it the fuck alone.
What it is. I love that they go into the whole diet of the elves to explain why they eat so many sweets. And the military are like, actually, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes. So the movie really is about Santa being down his luck. He's subsidized by the United States government, and then it really doesn't focus on Christmas. There's some things we're going to discuss in a second, but what ends up happening then is we have the government show up. They're going to pay him to use the elves and his workshop to make these like guidance chips very fast for like missiles.
Jet fighters, yeah.
Yeah, so basically Santa he's in the military complex, which I thought was fantastic that they did that. Because if there was a Santa and there was an elves, the United States military would exploit the fuck out of that.
Exactly.
You can guarantee it.
But they also drop the, pardon the expression, bombshell that if he doesn't help them this year, he's going to get less money next year. So they're even the American government are blackmailing Santa.
How dare you besmirch the great American government?
Exactly.
So it's dark. It's like this is dark.
It's so unique, though. It's unorthodox. It's got this. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I just love that. I'm watching. I'm thinking, who is this made for? I think it's made for people who like Mel Gibson,
and I also think it's for people who are a little cynical about the holidays. I enjoy the holidays. He certainly is. Like, I enjoy the holidays, right? And I don't say that everyone does. People. I love unfortunately, the holidays, sometimes people have bad things happen on holidays. Some people have been beaten. Like people get, there's some dark things that have happened in people's lives during the holidays, which they probably don't look at the holidays as being so great, or they're poor and they didn't get things. Like, this movie is up that alley. You can kind of have your own cathartic holiday movie where you can go, oh, you're watching White Christmas? Well, fuck you. I'm watching the Fatman. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
or I'm watching Die Hard because some motherfuckers are dying on Christmas.
Yeah.
There could be a cathartic use of these dark, violent movies where it doesn't always have to be Hallmark and shiny. That's all I'm saying.
No. But at the same time, I almost think this goes a bit too... I mean, not like... I don't mean...
Well, you know what? I think the filmmakers knew, and that's why they skipped Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, this isn't technically a Christmas film, but it's about Santa. But it's almost like I know people are going to be like, oh, of course you're going to bring him in. But what if Tarantino were to tell a Christmas story? This is more of that feel. It's like, we're not going to talk about Christmas. This is the Reservoir Dogs of Christmas movies. I mean, we know Christmas happens. We just don't see it. We're going to talk about the fallout.
Speaking of Tarantino, there's some great needle drops in this movie as well. Like, the score's got a bit of a, kind of sinister electronica to it.
That was my notes. Whenever we see Walter Goggins, it felt a little bit like the score out of The Shining. Right? Like it had like a Kubrick feel to it. I was like, holy shit. Like,
he is one twisted individual in this.
That would be my biggest gripe of this film. The little boy I could have done without. I really would have wished we spent more time learning about Walton Goggins. You know, because the key is Walton Goggins is very upset at Santa. He's pissed off, and he goes around collecting and buying people who have actual toys made at Santa's workshop, and there's like a little gold nameplate screwed into the toy that says made at Santa's workshop. You know, kind of like you get says made in China sticker. It's a little different. And so he goes around collecting these because clearly when he was a young boy, and there's a moment where he shows like he had a very abusive family. And I guess in some talking, when he talks to Santa and they're about to shoot at each other, as you do when you meet Santa. What do you want for Christmas, little boy? I want your fucking head.
That's what he says, doesn't he?
Basically, yeah. And I think he had a very tough childhood upbringing, and he'd asked for Santa for new parents.
Yes.
And this is a theme in both movies, that Santa did not interfere. And then this person's kind of holding Santa responsible for it. It makes for a more interesting story than some little rich kid who fucking didn't win something and got cold and now wants Santa fucking dead. I get that's why we put it in motion, but we don't need that because we could just have him tracking him down.
No, but not only that, but on top of all that, that kid has a fucking hit, man. It's kind of
true. I mean, it's kind of funny, but if we cut him out, it would have led up to our battle at the end being so much more climactic.
But then you don't get that. When you get a shady hitman, they're in the shadows. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but
you get enough.
I really would have liked to see more because Walton Goggins is
the man,
amazing.
you know. But I just think that how the story unfolds and the reason for things happening does all, I know it sounds silly, it all makes sense. But Walton Goggins... And when it gets to when Walton Goggins starts to track him down, you know, because this is what this is really all about, is Walton Goggins using his skills.
Well, it has a Hateful Eight pacing to it, doesn't it? Like, it's a slow burn till we get to the end. It's a setup as an action movie, but
is it? This isn't an action movie. Not
in the vein of what we would think most action movies are, because we do get little bits of action, which is interesting. They don't show sometimes the deaths, which I thought was interesting. Like, you know, which we'll talk about another movie. They did not hold back on that.
What could you possibly mean?
I know. In this movie, they do wait for this great end sequence. Like the ending action is worth the hour something you sit to get to this point.
Yeah.
You know, it was spectacular.
Obviously, so you've got so we're all is all heading to the showdown between the two, and that's where it gets like real.
Yeah, you know, great action.
And I don't know about you. I was genuinely concerned for the elves.
Here's the funny thing. Here's where we differ. I was a little upset that none of them fucking got a bullet.
Oh, you fucking dark, hard piece of shit. Yeah, that's because you're a psychopath.
Yes, I'm agreeing with you. Look, we're watching a violent action movie for a Christmas holiday film. I want to see some fucking people die.
But then
we got some good deaths.
I think it kind of works that you know you care about the people you're supposed to care about in this movie, so it does work. They're good at these guys, these Helm brothers. They're good at what they do, and I think this is truly, you know, it's unique. It's just unorthodox, and
to include the ending, where we won't give away, but it's not your normal. Oh, the good guy or Santa's gonna win. Sometimes it takes other people that change the tide of the battle, kind of thing, which is fun.
Well, again, there are all these little motifs and things that they actually make this film. I think. The odds are stacked against this film to be heartwarming, but I think it manages to be quite heartwarming, really. And I think that's what I think the problem is. And I would count Violent Night in with this as well, although we're not there yet with that. But I think there's a lot of Christmas movies, right? There's tons of them.
There are. Just go on the Hallmark Channel. Jesus Christ.
Yes, but even those movies, they sort of seem to forget the whole point of it being a Christmas movie sometimes. What I will say, without going too far ahead, is what I would say about both of these films is there's a point to them, and they work, and they tick the boxes. Like I say, this movie's, for me, you know, I like some quite sentimental stuff at Christmas. I'm not above all that. You know, I'm a softie, you know.
Oh, me either. Me either. Agreed. Agreed.
But this for me, you know, like I say, the fact that Walton Goggins and Mel Gibson are in this is kind of almost enough.
It's a Christmas Western.
No,
well, a Santa Western. It really is. It leads down. It is, because the showdown's on this rural farm in Canada. It's all snow. It's two guys. Mel Gibson, Santa Claus, brings out a fucking Western pistol anyways that he's collected like he's the fucking Predator.
That everybody's listening. You know when you watch a good film, is because when you talk about it, you want to watch it again. That's what I always think, you know. And just listening to you giving your perspective, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, man, I'm in on this. This is one of my Christmas movies now.
It's funny thing is I think it's a Santa movie, not really a Christmas movie. Because like I said, it says we're gonna sidestep Christmas and we're gonna tell a different tale of it's almost like a day in the life of Santa Claus post Christmas. Like it really does have. I feel like they sat there, we're gonna do a Reservoir Dogs type of thing with Tarantino. What if we talk about Santa?
we take Christmas. We don't even talk about Christmas.
And they're kind of like, what's Santa have to do to keep money? How's he keep going in these modern times? And they're like, we got it.
Well, how does this stuff work, actually? And I love when Mrs. Claus or, you know, Ruth Kringle hands out the cookies to the soldiers. They all take a bite and then they're like, damn, these are good cookies.
And I love that all they make, like, even though Santa, we never see him eat a meal. He eats nothing but cookies. Like, she's always making cookies.
Always trying to slap his hand away eating the cookies.
Like, there's no...
What a movie.
Oh, it was a really, really enjoyable film. But like I said, I think for me, my only wish to change was because of how good Walton Goggins is and how his story is more compelling to me. I was like, oh, when he shows that little boy fucking burn marks on his arm, I was like, oh, there's a story. And like, we would feel more of why he doesn't like Santa as much. Like, you know, like he kind of associates my fucking life sucks.
But then I would
because of you.
Yeah,
kind of thing. I would have loved that.
Counter that a little bit with the fact that the school kid loses the science fair at school and he kidnaps the girl and he's going to electrocute her in the fucking basement of his house. So
that was kind of, that was fun.
So you're watching it and you're thinking, this film is going.
You're forgetting that Santa pays him a visit at the end of the movie with the eye patch, and it's real
the end,
dark.
He's basically saying,
like Santa doesn't usually threaten boys and girls. He's like, fuck Cole. It's gonna be far worse than Cole if I come back.
Look, if your parents aren't going to keep an eye on you during the fucking year to make sure you have a good Christmas, I'm going to fucking keep my eye on you. So it's almost like Santa has become fucking Freddy Krueger or something. Whereas, like,
exactly.
You better behave because I'm going to be looking. I'll be fucking watching you. You know, with his one.
And we get an eye patch Santa.
Hey.
Oh,
well,
that was fun.
You never knew you wanted that, but you
didn't know, but Mel said you want it.
Yeah.
All right, so wrapping up our first film. Is this considered a Christmas film? And where do you put it in Mel's filmography? Like, where does it belong? And, you know, because like we just did with Michael Bay. You got your greats, you got your, hey, these are decent. And then you got to go, holy shit, why did they make that film kind of thing? Is it a Christmas film? And where does it belong, do you think, in his filmography?
Firstly, I will say, to me, it's a Christmas movie. I think it's Christmassy enough because I think this story is just about the very, you know, Christmas is at stake here, yeah? This is all about, can we pull together and make Christmas happen next year? So, you know, the stakes are there. So, it is, to me, it's a Christmas movie. You've got the reindeer, you've got elves, you know, you've got the Fatman, you know, you've got Christmas music. This is Christmas. Like I say, there's not that many Christmas movies I actually really like. I like 4, probably, maybe I like 6 now. But anyway, I'm just saying, for me, it's a Christmas movie because it's about the very fact that Christmas is at stake, ladies and gentlemen. And as far as, you know, I'll rank this high up, right, on the Mel scale, because
like a must-watch Mel movie.
Absolutely right. Yeah. But look, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, for me, is the fucking perfect movie. Nothing will ever eclipse that. But when I start looking at his filmography, there's quite a lot there I'm not into. You know, yeah. I love Mel Gibson almost more than I love a lot of his films.
I
think he's a. So I'm maybe obviously this was my choice of film, so obviously I've got a certain attachment where
you love Uncle Mel, Papa Mel, baby.
I love Uncle Mel. I think he does a great job as Santa, and you know, a lot of his films I'm not that into, really. You know, I mean, obviously Lethal Weapons and Mad Maxes and stuff like that, but Bird on a Wire, The Patriot, shit like that, I'm kind of like, I'm not really that into. But obviously, as you pointed out, Dragged Across Concrete is a masterpiece, quite frankly. So, but for me, yeah, on both counts, it's up high.
I originally didn't think I was going to say it was a Christmas film. But the guy is the main person outside of Jesus. I get it, you Christians, relax. But the guy who actually is on all the fucking publicity at this time of year is Santa. And as a person who's also a Tarantino fan, this definitely has the era of, it's not a Tarantino film, I'm not saying that, but they went with the Tarantino direction of like, well, what if we talk about a Christmas film, but we don't even focus on Christmas? We talk about why we got to save Christmas and all the other things that happen before you get to Christmas. So very much like what they did with Reservoir Dogs. We talk about the actual jewel heist. We never see the jewel heist. We see the fallout. Very similar. And Mel Gibson and Walter Goggins are fucking awesome in this film. When they're on screen, just mesmerized by them. And I, like you said, his post Troubles catalog, this goes in with Dragged Across Concrete in a must-watch Mel film. Because I think people have bypassed him because of it. I understand. That's your opinion. You're right, whatever. But if you can separate the actor from who they are in real life and you can just watch their art, there are two films out there that you're missing out on. And Mel gives great performances in both of them. So yes, I too agree with you. This is definitely a well-deserved dark Christmas film for all you people who are a little sick and twisted just like me during the holidays. Hey. And if you enjoy good Mel films, this is right up your fucking alley. And now we jump to film number 2, 2022's Violent Night.
It's time for the tale of the tape. Violent Night was written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller and directed by Tommy Wirkola, starring David Harbour, John Leguizamo, Alex Hassel, Alexis Louder, Eli Patterson, Cam Gingondet, Leah Brady, Brendan Fletcher, and Beverly D'Angelo. Made at a budget of $20 million and grossing $76.6 at the box office. It holds a 6.7 rating on IMDb and a 74 critics and 88 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Steve gave this 3 stars and Scott gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. When a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in to save the day and Christmas in Universal Pictures' Violent Night.
You ain't driving, are you?
I steer a little, but the reindeer do most of the work.
This is my 4th year as a Santa. How about you?
I started the whole damn thing.
Ho, ho, ho!
It's Christmas!
We decided that you could have one gift.
Early.
What is it?
That is a direct hotline to Santa Claus himself.
I can talk to Santa.
All right, revelers. Welcome to your worst Christmas ever.
Let's go!
You have $300 million in your personal vault. That's what I want for Christmas.
I don't want any trouble, okay? Someone's gonna scooch up that chimney.
Who is he? Because it's not your typical mall Santa.
Santa, are you there? Daddy said you were very busy tonight. My name's Trudy Lightstone. Are you gonna help us, Santa?
Yeah, Trudy.
Santa?
You're on my nice list. Santa Claus is coming to town. Time for some season's beatings.
Who the hell are you?
Boss, what if he really is the real?
There's no such thing as Santa.
These bad men, they're all on my naughty list. Naughty. That's naughty!
And what do you do to the naughty ones?
I give them a lump of coal.
Where is it?
I believe in you, Santa.
Come on. Which one of you did that? Prancer? So unprofessional.
Now, when I was able to find some fun stuff on this, our lovable character, Morgan Steele, the half-wit action star who's married to our protagonist's family's gold-digging sister, is based on Mark Wahlberg. And like Mark Wahlberg, Steele stars in several films about the military. And he says this is Mark Wahlberg because in the film he says if there was a few less guys, he could defeat them and get them out of the situation they find themselves in. And Mark Wahlberg is quoted as saying that if he was on the planes during 9/11, he could have stopped the hijackers, which he had to apologize for in 2012. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, there is a catering truck logo, and the logo on the company's van is Farkas and Dill. That is named after the bullies from A Christmas Story. I enjoyed that. And anybody watching this film will instantly go, this reminds me a lot of, I don't know, Die Hard, Die Hard 2, and Home Alone, which it openly says it's like they're going to do something like Home Alone. Like it doesn't even tongue in cheek. It goes, we're about to do a section with a little girl and Home Alone. And you think, oh, great. And then we'll get into it. I was like, oh, wow. I actually pulled that off. I was like, I actually almost liked it better than what Home Alone did. It was a little more violent, a little more deadly. So yeah, in this film, you're going to get references and homages to Die Hard and Die Hard 2 throughout the fucking film. Throughout it. And one last little tidbit, David Harbour, who is our lead who plays Santa, he's a twist. Saint Nick, he's a Viking killer who used to have a hammer called Skull Crusher. So right away when I remember seeing this, I go, wow, we have some dark Santas. Like Santa is fucking tired. He definitely is watching you when you sleep, and he's packing a fucking hammer called Skull Crusher. So watch your fucking P's and Q's, kids. Or either Santa with the Skull Crusher or one-eyed Santa are gonna fucking pay you a visit. Now, Mr. Smith, since this was your actual first time seeing this film, what was your initial impression from seeing Violent Night, which just came out this time last year?
You know what? This wins the Bullet Train Award 2023, right? Because you'd have to, it's a reference to previous episodes.
yes. Call back.
I know that's vague, and I can't really expect anyone to listen think, yeah, I know exactly what he means. But right,
they're smoking jackets and pipe. Can I get some cognac?
Let me just say, when I saw the trailer to this, so this was last year.
You came out this time last year, yes, sir.
Yeah, and I just thought, I don't want to see this, so I didn't. But obviously, you put it forward. This is your choice for this month. Man, I fucking loved this movie. I absolutely
I knew you would.
Was having a fucking blast watching this movie. Okay. David Harbour, he is just do you know what? I've got a feeling he's peaked with Violent Night now. That's probably his, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to him.
No, I know what you mean.
I just think, the whole Stranger, because he's been around for a long time, David Harbour.
Yes.
If you actually look at his filmography, he's literally been in every film ever fucking made.
He was,
do you know what I mean?
Gone with the Wind.
He crops up in Charlie Chaplin movies.
He's crazy.
Jesus Christ. No, but he's been in so many things in the background and as like side characters and stuff. He's been in so much. I think this is like peak David Harbour. This is the movie he should be remembered for, actually, because he owns this movie. No David Harbour, no movie, as far as and that isn't. Do you know what? That isn't even a criticism of the movie. That is just to say how good he is. Yeah. He's not carrying a weak movie. He's
just
so
very
good.
Strong in the film.
He's just so good. The violence is insane. John Leguizamo is a fantastic sort of pantomime villain. He just doesn't have a moustache to twirl. That's one of my criticisms. No, but that's the kind of guy you're dealing with here. Yeah, I was just like, I actually was a bit disappointed that I was a snob about it last year because I could have gone to see this in the cinema. And I didn't. So one of them things where I get it wrong sometimes, you know. And you're looking at me like, no, Steve, you fucking get it wrong all the time. Because I do. I get it wrong a lot lately. Not to get too far away from it, but my issue with these John Wick movies, like I've said before, is they're relentlessly violent, and I just get so bored because when there's no violence, there's nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing to fill the space in between the setup.
Do you know what a great triple bill is? This, Nobody, and Bullet Train. Because they recognise the ridiculousness of their violence. So
and there's
they think,
humor spread throughout them.
So let's be ridiculous with everything else. Let's just go all out. Yeah, because Bullet Train has to be probably one of the most ridiculous films I've ever seen.
Agreed. It makes no sense why any of it would happen.
It's also incredible, and this is the same. You know, this is so good. So yeah, first time watch. I'm disappointed that I missed it last year from my own ignorance, and I didn't see it on the big screen. And David Harbour is just amazing.
I actually got to see it on the big screen last year, and I'm glad I did. And like I said, I have the Regal Cinema Pass. You guys, it's a British company now. Cinemark or something like that over there. I don't know what the name of the parent company is for Regal. I think why I like it so much is because it really borrows a lot of the fun, violence, that sounds weird to say, from the Die Hard films. There are moments in this where it's nothing but like you go, my God, this is a Die Hard reference. Like everything from there's a hit team that's got to come up on sleds and they may or may not be a part of with the villain. That's Die Hard 2. A woman may or may not stab a guy in the neck and face with an icicle. Die Hard 2. People are breaking in to steal something out of a fucking vault on Christmas Eve. Die Hard. And then it just goes, the little girl talks about the movie Home Alone and literally sets up her own traps. You're like, okay. And then you're like, these are even better. Fucking Macaulay Culkin's a fucking pussy.
But I mean, Home Alone is old enough now to be able to be referenced in other films, isn't it? It's not like you're ripping it off.
And even the people are like, you said, they're like, these fucking traps aren't going to work. I see. And all of a sudden they fucking. So what sells it though is the humor too, and the humor is dark but funny. What's her name there from? She plays the mom in all of the Christmas, all the National Lampoon's Vacations there.
Beverly D'Angelo.
Beverly D'Angelo is fucking spectacular. It has some of the best little lines when they're at the family house and she's on the phone with some U.S. senator and she's, why don't you shove it up your box or what? It's just the things she's saying as she's walking in and out of frame are just fucking choice. And some of the things that are said and that are done are fucking hilarious. Like you laugh your ass off. And then, like we talked about on Dropping a Bruce, the gore in this.
Insane.
They decided, you know what? We're making a dark, comedic, grindhouse style movie about Santa having to become John McClane on Christmas Eve. But he, like John McClane, has some skills, but it takes him a little bit to remember those skills. And he's only as good as he is when he gets the fucking sledgehammer. And that sledgehammer scene, now look, I'll say this too. It is very reminiscent of and I don't know if it was intentional or if it's just they just didn't see it. But it had these moments of old 80s movies where villains show up out of nowhere. You're like, I felt like 5 guys walked into that barn and he kills, it feels like 30. And you're like, and it's such a small space. You're like, how do the rest of them not know what's happening in this barn? But at the same time, I'm all sitting there going, I don't care. Just keep sending the pigs in for slaughter. I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't care why they don't know that he's in there, how they aren't hearing the rest of their squad getting brutalized.
I actually felt like in both films, there were times when I wanted to I was clearly overthinking, with Steve.
Yes. I was like, Scott, shut the fuck up, shut your brain. Enjoy this. There's Santa Claus is killing people with a sledgehammer and ice skates, and you're just like, why am I criticizing how many guys came in at this moment? I don't care.
Exactly.
I think we need another 30. I want to see a few more kills.
Keep it going. It
really was like a video game at that moment because it was you could tell the creators were like, what cool kill can I come up with now? You know what I mean? What's in this barn that we can use to decapitate, kill, bloody, destroy? It's just. And then my favorite, without getting too much away, is when he finally goes up the chimney with somebody. The funny thing is, when I rewatched it, I forgot that happened.
Oh, right, yeah,
right, and I've forgotten that's how we kind of get past that part. And when it happened, I was like, oh my God, that was fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
that was
amazing,
brilliant. I was like, this is what I came for.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Leah Brady, who plays Trudy, the little girl, because she was great.
She is. She's the heart of the story. She's what keeps this Santa grounded in Christmas and keeping him from just turning full back to Viking. He was nicked in the red or whatever. You know what I mean? When they show that one scene of him standing there, you're like, oh, all right.
That's kind of what I mean about Christmas movies. why so many of them are so mediocre is they kind of forget why they're there in the first place. And I think the relationship between Father Christmas and Trudy is, like you say, yeah, it's the heart of the movie. That has to work.
Well, he's making fun of everything else. Like the directors are making, like you said, they're making fun of capitalism, making fun of even today's teens. There's one guy's like hashtag black. You know, it's fucking.
Yeah.
I did want him to die though. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you.
I'll be
I wanted
fair,
that
yeah,
kid to die.
yeah.
But like they make fun of all these, even especially in America, people become during the holiday season. It's all about greed. It's all about just this blind ignorance and arrogance. And yet this one little girl still holds on to
the magic.
You know, the Christmas spirit. Well, what Christmas is really about, you know. And the one thing she wants for Christmas is her parents get back together. She's not asking for anything else. You know what I mean? So and she keeps him as a Santa going. The writers said he's John McClane as Santa Claus, but not as adept as John McClane is. Like we're gonna let him slowly progress to him remembering who he was, because he even says it's been a long time since I was that person. What, like 11,000 years or whatever it was. He was.
Yeah, because then you get suspense, don't you? You get like you're kind of like, come on, here we go. You know.
Yeah.
And then he sort of fails and doesn't quite.
Oh, he gets his ass whipped a couple of times.
So that when he does finally, you get the eureka moment, and he's like, I know I am now, and he grabs the fucking hammer.
Yeah.
It's glorious, you know.
Well, the fun of it is the very first kill in Die Hard is when Bruce Willis is wrestling with what's his name's brother, and they go down and they accidentally tumble down the stairs, and he breaks the guy's neck. Well, in this one, he puts a guy out the window, and then he's caught up in the lights, and he goes out with him. So it's a very similar, like they're like homaging it, and one guy goes through a fucking icicle, and Santa just bounces off on
impales him on it. Yeah.
So it, like the first kills are even like, all right, we're gonna, and I have no problem with that. Obviously, I loved it. I mean, because it's not Die Hard, but you feel the references of Die Hard heavily in this film.
Oh,
it's a heavy reference,
but it still has its own identity.
Has its complete own identity. Yes, 100% complete own identity. Which is, I mean, look, I won't say the name, but there's a certain guy I may or may not like as a director, so I can appreciate when other film directors are doing it and doing it well, because it's easy, right? Copy paste. And the last two films, they've been, inspired or referenced, but they did their own thing. And not once do I think that either of these films are a Tarantino film, or a Die Hard film, but I can see where they were getting their strong references, and they were good enough to be able to make their own film. Well, those of us who know, but also I don't say Violent Night as like, oh, it's just a Die Hard ripoff. Not even close. No. I kind of now wish Die Hard had as much gory action as this one does.
That is a selling point, though, isn't it? That if someone told me a film's a Die Hard ripoff, I'm like, well,
exactly.
I'm in.
Yeah.
But no, this is more than that. It's got its own, like we say, got its own identity. It's fun.
It's got great side characters. Yeah. I mean, just like Beverly D'Angelo's phenomenal. The little girl, the dad, I could give, like, some of my, I don't give two shits. The guy who plays the Mark Wahlberg wannabe, he is funny. Even the douchebag kid, I like him because he plays a great little douchebag kid. Leguizamo for me was maybe, and I will preface this, is I probably don't feel as strongly about him and feeling he was a weak spot because I watched Fatman for the first time and then I watched this film. So it's unfair to try to compare him to Walton Goggins because Walton Goggins is so good as the villain, delicious as the villain, that Leguizamo in comparison, I mean, they're not even in the same fucking stratosphere. That's how good Walton is. And I like John and things like he was great in last year's The Menu. He's spectacular as like a Hollywood douchebag himself.
He's Mr. Reliable.
He is, but I did feel he was a little forced in his attempt to be the villain. But they did have some fun tongue-in-cheek moments. Like they referenced a few things, making fun of, like clearly made fun of Die Hard. What are you, like a security guard? He makes fun of like a security guard. There are some moments where there's a few choice lines from him where he's even kind of referencing Die Hard and referencing these other films that they're clearly referencing in the film. And some of my favorite moments, obviously besides that barn scene, was when they do literally reenact their own version of fucking Home Alone with some awfully brutal and deadly fucking parlor tricks. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, they go there.
All right, my friend, in your opinion, should this film be considered a Christmas film, and where does it belong in the, I want to say, brief David's filmography, not the filmography we now know him as, like obviously Stranger Things, Black Widow. He also plays, what's the one guy who's got the horn broke off?
Hellboy. That wasn't his fault, though.
No, yeah. He's also in Hellboy, but, these are the things he's starting to become known for. Stranger Things has definitely put him on the map as far as now an actor that people recognize more than just some side character. So, what are your feelings on both?
I think if this is the only film David Harbour is remembered for, he did it. He did, That's worthy of being remembered for. You know, I mean, I've looked at his filmography. I think this is the best thing he's done, personally. I mean, Stranger Things is a different thing.
Yeah, it's a show.
You know,
yeah,
that's TV.
Yeah.
That's We're not talking about TV. We talk movies here.
But we do recommend TV every now and again.
We do now, but not very often.
It's true.
So, for me, if this is what David Harbour's remembered for, he's a lucky man and a skilled man. And where does this rank? Christmas movies? This is a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
because,
it's on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, this is the moral of the tale. You know, it's the the magic of belief and Christmas. This is like the same as Fatman in the sense that the thing that's going to kill Santa is people not believing in it.
Yeah,
that's what both of these films really are trying to say. You know, so yeah, for me, absolutely up there as a peak Harbour and a great Christmas movie that is now on my watch list. I've got a list of films I watch every Christmas, and like I say, there were about four. Now there's 6. So yeah, definitely.
I would say you put this in with Die Hard, and now also Fatman would be great. If you're into the violent side of Christmas, where there's still a bit of a tale of hope, these are great films to go in. They belong to be Christmas films. If the nonstop copy-paste hallmarks are considered Christmas movies, where everything turns out bright and shiny, these are a little bit more for the people who want a little more darker edge to their Santa. They want a little extra whiskey in the eggnog with Santa. And when someone's getting their nuts roasted on an open fire, they actually want someone's real nuts being roasted by Santa on an open fire.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you. This is probably, outside of Stranger Things, as we talked, this is his best film. And there was talk that there was going to be a sequel. So again, that you always hold your breath with sequels, because it's hard sometimes to repeat the magic of the first, as we are well versed in films since the 80s. But I will hold out because he put in excellent, and he had the size of like a brutal Santa, right? Like he's like 6'6", he's like 280. He looks like a football player. He's a monster, and so when he's wielding that fucking, mallet, you're like, wow, well done for both, and I enjoyed the hell out of them.
Let's go to the card.
We pit 2 against each other to see who comes out on top as the best. Well, it's subjective to obviously taste. Violent Christmas movie for this episode.
Best action sequences.
Mr. Smith, which of the films had the best action sequence or sequences in your opinion? I want to preface that this is not to say that either movie is lacking in these things. We're just discussing, as you would in any kind of thing, which did you prefer? So I don't want our listeners to think like if we pick one over the other, that other one's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Even the John Wick, some of the movies have the better action sequence than the other ones. It's just the fucking way it goes.
Yeah.
Deal with it, all right? Write Santa a letter and complain. I don't know what to tell you.
Eat a dick over here. I would have to concede that Violent Night has got not only, I mean, it's clearly got more action. That's not even.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I would say the action is better. I mean, one thing we have to point out, that Violent Night is actually brought to us by the team who do Bullet Train, and the producer is David Leitch.
They're making it happen. Yeah, they're making it happen right now.
So
I'm very excited what they're going.
That would be foolish of me to argue that a Fatman's got better action than. I mean, it is look. There's one, main set piece.
And it is a spectacular set piece.
I maybe say the last 15 minutes of Fatman is kind of like an extended sort of action sequence, but Violent Night just A, it has them in abundance. B, it's done by the premier team of these guys working in America right now. So you've just got to concede that Violent Night has the best action.
I too will pick Violent Night, and I'll be honest with you, I forgot how much violence was in it. Like, I knew there was some in it. I knew it was towards the end, but I mean, as I was going through, I was like, I almost felt like I was just being a dick. I'm like, yeah, of course violence. I mean, there's like 1,000 action sequences. I was like, holy shit, it really did stick up to its name. A movie that's called Violent Night, guess what? It was violent, and it was at night. They really did live up to the title. It did not sell us short on its title with Violent Night at all.
No, exactly. I guess Fatman didn't live up to itself because Mel Gibson wasn't that fat.
Honestly, neither of them are really fat. Let's be honest.
No, that's fair.
They were a more svelte-built Santa than anyone.
Best supporting characters.
Now, sir, who do you think had the best supporting cast of characters in it?
I'm going to go with Fatman. Like, I agree with you about John Leguizamo, but he's one of those guys. He's just reliable. He's going to show up and he's going to do what you ask him to do. Whereas I think Walton Goggins, I did watch an interview with the directors of Fatman, and they said Walton Goggins just really went into the role. They said he totally, like, when he read the script, he was like, I'm that guy. I'm really passionate about it. So I think Marianne Jean Baptiste as Ruth Kringle was great.
She was.
Walton Goggins was great. Chance Hurstfield, who plays Billy Wenner, the little shit kid, he was pretty cool in it because he was so cold.
He was,
and evil, and he was like 9, or whatever how old he is. I don't know, maybe 12 or something. That would be like my only real flaw in Violent Night. And I'm having to nitpick at this point.
Perfectly fine.
So this is not really a major criticism, but I just felt like a lot of the family characters were so disposable.
Yeah, especially the main family characters.
All of the villains were disposable. But again, this is me having to pick sides. So I'm going to say Fatman had the better cast, although, it was a smaller cast.
I would agree. For a little bit, I was deciding. Beverly D'Angelo was fantastic, but we don't get enough of her.
No.
The father and mother could care less about. The sister and the husband and that little kid, they were fun, but we don't get enough of them either. Like you said, the villains are very interchangeable. Trudy's cute, but I mean, just Walton Goggins alone is why I would pick Fatman, because he is so mesmerizing. Where, like you said, David Harbour, this is his film, and everyone else is just kind of like doing a really good job of being in it with him. But where Walton Goggins, like, there are moments, like, sometimes you go, is Walton Goggins out doing Mel right now? Like, there are times you're kind of like, all right. And then Mel will, he'll do his little grunt or something. You go, okay, Mel's, all right, we're going tick for tat right now. But he was so good, like I said, I kind of was wishing he was also in this film. Like, it would have been great if he could have been in both films.
Walton Goggins was the villain in Violent Night,
Yeah, it's like a 4 or 5 star movie for me at that point. So, but yes, I agree. We will give Fatman the best supporting characters.
Funniest moments.
Funniest moments. Which film had the funniest moments for you?
I'd have to say Violent Night.
I would agree because I think it's the more comedic of the films.
Yeah,
the
I
other
don't
one's
think
very
Fatman's
dark. It's black. It's dark humor, but it's like
it's
really
very
dark.
dark.
Yeah, very dark.
Yeah.
As our souls.
Yeah.
Dark as our souls.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything specific I found funny about Violent Night, but I mean the overall tone. It's like, look, we know this is stupid. Just come with us, is what they're saying. You know, so and that in itself, it just means you can just. It's a comfort movie, you can just chill with it, and you're just like, this is. There's funny moments, there's clever moments, there's hyper violent moments, there's great action as well. So I think the funniest of the funnier of the two is definitely Violent Night. I think Fatman is more satire than comedy. So, Violent Night.
I would agree with you. And the two main points for me is Beverly D'Angelo. Every time she's on screen and the things she says are just so spectacular. Like, she is the comedic element. And then they pulled off a more violent version of fucking Home Alone. And they even said they were going to do it. The little girl's like, I can set up traps like Home Alone. You're like, oh, okay. And they pull it off. And they're funny moments, too. Like, they're dark, but funny. But, the guy steps on the thing. And instead of, the old nail trick going in the foot, it goes to his chin. Like, I was like, okay.
I forgot about that.
I was like, okay.
Most original plot.
The more memorable plot for you, Mr. Smith. Which film has the more memorable plot? When you look back on it and someone says, hey, what's the plot of these movies? What's the more memorable plot? Or maybe more original plot? Is that a better way to say it? The more original plot?
I'm going to say, on any count, I would say Fatman. I think it's more original.
Yeah, we'll go more original is a better statement.
Because there's just more to discuss in the story itself. I mean, Violent Night, like what is Violent Night about? You can pretty much quickly, but it's like Die Hard, but with a real Santa.
Santa Die Hard, yeah. Santa Die Hard, yeah.
And again, not a criticism,
No. But, I agree with you.
But with Fatman, I'm talking about, well, there's a financial crisis. And
it's more highbrow, I guess, if you could say, for a dark Christmas movie.
High concept. Really?
Yeah.
It's a high concept idea, isn't it? Where you're talking about the economy, you're talking about family values, you're talking about Santa having to kind of, sully himself. He's got to work with the government to create weapons of destruction when he's trying to bring
sucking
joy
off
to
the teeth of the
children.
government too.
Yeah. So to me, I just find that fascinating. And like I say, all that mixed with a 12-year-old spoilt brat hiring a fucking hitman to go kill Santa. To me, there's just so much more there, and so just on that, purely on that score alone, to me, I'd have to say Fatman.
I would agree as well. And like you said, it's not a slight to Violent Night that it is a Die Hard 1 and 2 / even moments of Home Alone infused movie with Santa, and they pull it off gloriously. But you're right. If you think about more original plot, Fatman is, I don't want to keep saying it, but it has a Tarantino twist to telling the story of Christmas and Santa, where we don't even focus on the actual day, and we're actually focusing more on the man and the real problems he's facing in the real world. It's not all hand jobs and cookies, you know what I mean, for Santa until Christmas. So, yeah, definitely, it's definitely a more original and memorable plot. And like you said, there's a lot more twists and turns that happen in it, where we just get really great gags and scenes in the other one. So,
yeah, tons.
Best Santa.
Now, this was a tough one. Who do you feel played the better Santa? Mr. David Harbour or Uncle Mel Gibson?
This is a tough one, because in the second minute of Violent Night, when David Harbour throws up from his sleigh into the face of that old woman who runs the pub in England, this is difficult.
I felt the same.
Yeah, because it's like, it's a close one.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
it's
I
very
agree.
close,
I
actually,
agree with you.
because they're very different Santas.
Similar but very different. They have similar issues, but they are handling them in two different ways.
Yeah. I'm going with Mel.
Okay.
Because he underplays it. I'm not accusing David Harbour of being a ham, though. I'm just saying, for me, I just like that subtlety. And I like Mel Gibson underplaying it, because he does have a tendency. He is a bit gruff and a bit grunt. He grunts and growls a lot in certain films, and he can hammer up as well. Mm-hmm. He's not above that,
Just watch Lethal Weapons. When he gets to play Crazy Mel, he loves it.
He can, and like Expendables 3,
Mm-hmm.
He sort of he can. Whereas in this he didn't. So I applaud that, and I like this more kind of that vibe of how he approaches it. So for me on this one, I'm going to go with Mad Mel.
I, on the other hand, we will split on this one, which is I didn't think we would be this close as it was. And the only reason I picked David, and it has absolutely nothing really to do with anything Mel did wrong. I think it's just the direction they gave him of the character. David felt more like a Santa. When he first shows up, he's like, I don't even want to help this family out. Like, he was like, I just want to get on my sleigh and get the fuck out of here. But these shitty-ass reindeer left. You know what I mean? So he's trapped in a situation he really doesn't want to be a part of. And because this little girl needs him, and he realizes that kind of that's what Santa is, or maybe he realizes he's, forgotten other kids. And because John Leguizamo has a very similar story or hatred towards Santa as our Walton Goggins character does.
True.
They had, like Santa didn't stand in and do something to help him when he was a kid, and help him get out of the shitty life he was in. Again, in the tradition of what Santa is, I felt David Harbour was a more traditional feeling Santa who was thrown into, where I always did feel like at any moment Mel was ready for violence. And that's not a bad thing. I don't say that with bad thing.
No,
I sometimes feel like Mel was ready for violence at any moment.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, because say Mel Gibson was playing the David Harbour role, you would expect violence.
Yes, and I didn't expect.
Whereas with David Harbour, you've got the surprise of him suddenly going fucking ape shit and killing everyone.
Yeah.
So you lose that suspense.
Mm-hmm.
That's all too believable that Mel Gibson would go that way. Whereas with David Harbour, he's kind of cuddly and big and oafish. You're not sure he's going to go all out.
Yeah.
So when he does, it's a real pump your fist in the air moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I see.
But
that.
I do enjoy both of their portrayals, because they're both different portrayals that we don't normally get, and that's what I thoroughly love about them. I know there's some slasher films out there where Santa's like this fucking crazy. I like the fact that they're
too easy,
they're put to violence for outside factors. Like their hand has been forced. Like they have no other option but to do this. It's not like they just come in like, I'm cracking fucking kids' skulls tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The better movie.
Now our final decision, which we will also put out to you, our listeners, as your choice. Which is the better Violent Christmas movie? And again, this is subjective. We are both already saying we love them both. You should watch both of them. We don't have to recommend them to you. If they're on this podcast from this point on, we're recommending them to you. Unless we have some kind of disclaimer in the beginning, like, today we're going to do opposite day, or something like that. We are both recommending that you should see both of these films if you're into the diehard type of violent Christmas movie that has the Christmas themes, but just doesn't just tell the funny, shiny. I mean, if you want fun, shiny Christmas movies to feel good, Hallmark's going to throw 300 of them at you. All right, so you can wrap your arms around all these B-list actors doing something about coming home for country Christmas or baking at Christmas or any modern main theme at Christmas time, all right? You'll have that. But if you want a little darker edge, which of these two would you say was the better one for the violent Christmas film, Mr. Smith?
Okay, so in true Christmas spirit, right? If you want a mainstream crowd pleaser, look no further than Violent Night. David Harbour is fantastic. The action is bloody and hilarious. The whole movie is guaranteed to tick the required boxes for some solid festive entertainment. However, if you favour something more twisted, come over to the dark side. Perhaps a more brooding and intense take on Santa, it still has enough sweetness and sentimentality under all of the bullets and bloodied bodies. In fact, you could say the same thing about both movies. Watch Violent Night with your friends. You'll laugh your asses off. But when everyone heads home, pour yourself a glass of the hard stuff, light up a cigar, and get into the unique, sinister, and perfectly crafted Fatman. Mel Gibson gives an understated performance, and Walton Goggins is at his menacing best. So, in conclusion,
he's a fence sitter again.
this is a double bill that I would recommend to everyone this Christmas. But for me personally, I'm going to go with Fatman because I just found it to be a one of a kind. Whereas I can watch Die Hard.
Gotcha.
There are films like that, but there is no other film like Fatman. So for pure uniqueness, I'm going Fatman.
For me, I am going the reverse, but not because I picked the movie. Because I thoroughly enjoyed Fatman. I love the story. I love the twist on the take. I love that it doesn't take place during Christmas. Walton Goggins. Look, you don't have to like Mel Gibson. That's fine. But if you like Walton Goggins, then you need to watch this film just for him alone. And you can bypass the fact that Mel Gibson's playing Santa. You'll be okay. I promise. You'll wake up the next morning and life will still be okay. But for Walton Goggins alone, if you can't stomach Mel, Walton is spectacular as a villain. And Mel plays an excellent, just curmudgeonly, fuck Christmas type of, like, I'm so tired of doing this type of Santa. But for me, as Steve said, I had the most fun, like you said, like Bullet Train. It is surprising. David Harbour has this charisma to him, just like Brad Pitt does in the other movie. There's unrealistic violence, but it's crazy. Like, it sticks to its name, Violent Night. However, it does also hold on to some Christmas cheer and some Christmas joy. So for that, it combines the two things. It combines violence and a little bit of ho, 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 happy holidays in it to keep you going. And there are some choice lines from Beverly D'Angelo. Oh, for me, if you want to go down the darker road, you do a three-way here. You start off with Christmas Vacation from National Lampoon's, you jump into Violent Night, and then Uncle Mel puts you to bed, and you feel a little bit dirty at the end of it all. It really goes down the line of like going from, oh shit, it's just Christmas is falling off the tracks. But yeah, so for me, it is Violent Night, but we will then put it out to you, our listeners. Which one is the better violent Christmas film? You make the choice. We've given you our take.
And the winner is Steve scored the Showdown 42 in favor of 2020's Fatman, while Scott scored a 42 in favor of 2022's Violent Night, meaning we currently have a draw. So in the event that there is a draw, we go to the show's average letterbox score of each film based on Steve and Scott's ratings to decide our winner. And the winner with an average show letterbox score of 3.25 stars is Violent Night.
And now it leads us to closing out 2023 with some more inductees into our top 100 films of all time.
The Cheeky Bastards Top 100 Films of All Time.
We are through 59 to 62 now. We're steadily getting there. I think once we reach it, in season 3, we'll have to start a top 50 worst movies of all time. I think we'll have to keep this Hall of Fame thing going. Yeah, we'll start doing something else. So we'll start adding things to it. But I will once again get the honor of leading us off. And my first induction, number 59, into our top 100. And I text you this the other day, telling you my 2 picks, and then realizing, holy shit, they're from the same fucking director. I did not even pay attention to it. That's how fucking dumbass I was. I was like, oh, I like this one, I'm gonna do this one. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the same director. So anyways, I'm gonna double bill mine, but we're gonna start off first with the Academy Award winning movie of 2008, but it came from 2007, and that is No Country for Old Men. Directed brilliantly by Joel and Ethan Coen. No Country for Old Men is a cinematic masterpiece that seamlessly combines the elements of suspense, morality, and exceptional storytelling. Based on Cormac McCarthy's novel of the same name, this film captures the essence of the American West with breathtaking visuals and a hauntingly atmospheric score. The Coen brothers' direction is nothing short of brilliant, which is why they also won the Academy Award for directing. They masterfully build tension through suspenseful and often silent sequences, making the audience feel the weight of every decision the characters make. Pacing is deliberate and unrelenting, mirroring the merciless pursuit of Anton Chigurh, played to perfection by Javier Bardem. The stark, desolate landscape of West Texas, beautifully captured by Roger Deakins' cinematography, serves as a character in its own right, enhancing the film's overall atmosphere. In conclusion, No Country for Old Men is a cinematic gem that excels in every aspect. With a mesmerizing performance by Javier Bardem, masterful direction by the Coen brothers, and a thought-provoking narrative, it has rightfully earned its place in the pantheon of modern cinema. This film is not only a thrilling and suspenseful ride, but an also profound exploration of the human condition in a world that seems to have left old values behind. No Country for Old Men is a must-see for any film enthusiast and remains a timeless classic, and it now proudly resides in our top 100 films of all time.
No Country for Old Men. I was late to that one as well. I don't know what happened. I remember when it came out, I was a little bit, I think I kind of, I'm a big Coen brothers fan, obviously. But I was a bit late to the party on that one. And I think when films start winning Oscars, I tune out a bit because I'm a snobby bastard.
However, it's one of those films like The Departed one the year before where there was a small, brief moment of time where we weren't getting the usual artsy-fartsy period. You know what I mean? Like the standard, oh, that's going to be the Oscar winner. And we got some real dark tales and violent tales back-to-back with The Departed, No Country for Old Men winning, Best Picture. And, that was, to me, it was like the halcyon days of the fucking Oscars. We finally getting some really, dark and gritty movies.
Left field, really, that I won, I suppose. So, yeah, definitely. Classic.
And now for number 60 and Steve Smith's first induction of this episode, but we're getting close to the last inductions of 2023. Mr. Smith, number 60.
From 1996. Written by Mr. Quentin Tarantino and directed by Mr. Robert Rodriguez, we have From Dusk Till Dawn. Seth Gecko and his younger brother Richie are on the run after a bloody bank robbery in Texas. They escape across the border to Mexico with the reluctant help of a priest and his kids. Next morning, they'll be home free after they've paid off the local kingpin. All they have to do to survive is spend the night at the rendezvous point, which happens to be a strip joint. Not just any strip joint, mind you. This pussy palace is run by bloodthirsty vampires, slutty succubi, and mutant bikers with an insatiable appetite for human flesh. What a cast. George Clooney, Juliette Lewis, Harvey Keitel, Fred Williamson, Tom Savini, Cheech Marin, Michael Parks, Quentin Tarantino. They give it their all. Not often you'll get a budget or cast like this for what is ultimately a B-movie gore fest. And speaking of gore, the amazing special effects by K&B Studios elevate proceedings just as much as Tarantino's script. This is Robert Rodriguez at his peak. It made a leading man out of George Clooney, and Tarantino even delivers a stellar performance. And the halfway point switcheroo is just bliss. Cinematic heaven. I wish I didn't know about that twist. As a reader of Fangoria at the time, I knew it was going to turn into a vampire movie halfway through. And I wish I had. I wish I didn't have that knowledge, because it's a strong enough, it's a strong enough genre crime movie up until that point. So I'm sure there are people out there who didn't know it was going to turn into a horror movie, and that must have just blown their minds. And I'm envious of those people. But that is my first pick this month.
You know how I feel about it. It's a fantastic pick. It is in the top 5 or top 3 films of Robert Rodriguez, hands down. Probably Sin City may have supplanted that, but From Dusk Till Dawn, what a fucking picture. What a picture. And for it to feel like a Tarantino crime movie in the first half, and then jump into a glorious B-movie, Robert Rodriguez horror film in all its glory, unbelievable. And the cast, like you said, George Clooney, left ER behind in that moment. That fucking moment. And then Salma fucking Hayek. Oh, whoa.
Shit, I didn't even mention. I do apologize.
I don't think you have to mention her. You say From Dusk Till Dawn, everyone should know. I was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Excellent, excellent, excellent fucking choice. Just ironic that my last pick of this episode and of 2023, the 61st into our haul, also comes from 1996. And if you were paying attention, it's also from the same directors as my first, and it also won them an Oscar. It is Fargo. Directed by the Coen brothers, Fargo stands as a darkly hilarious masterpiece that continues to captivate and amuse audiences more than 2 decades after its release. Set against the frigid backdrop of rural Minnesota and North Dakota, this crime comedy film delves into the macabre with a unique blend of wit and suspense. The film's brilliance lies in its ability to seamlessly blend the absurd and the gruesome. The characters' Minnesota accents and the everyday mundanity of their lives provide an amusing contrast to the brutal violence that ensues. The Coen brothers' sharp and witty screenplay, filled with memorable lines and quirky characters, keeps the audience engaged from start to finish. The cinematography, once again, under the skilled eye of Roger Deakins, captures the bleak and snow-covered landscapes, adding to the film's distinctive atmosphere. The barren setting serves as a perfect backdrop to the criminal activities and the bizarre occurrences that take place within. Fargo is a film that defies easy categorization. It's simultaneously a crime thriller, a dark comedy, and a character study. Coen brothers' ability to blend these genres into a seamless and entertaining narrative is a testament to their storytelling prowess. This film is a cinematic gem that continues to be celebrated for its unique style, unforgettable characters, and pitch-perfect blend of humor and violence. It's a film that has left an indelible mark on the world of cinema and remains a must-see for anyone who appreciates dark comedy with a distinct, icy twist. And now, it resides proudly in our top 100 films of all time.
A gem.
The 90s were such a great era of film for us. Like, I know the 70s, it's really, I mean, we were born into them, but it was really not our time. It's like our parents' halcyon of films, and I love the 70s films. And then when I watch 70s films, I watch 90s, like, they're such a kindred spirit to each other. And I hate to be like a cinematic snob. I just do feel like we were so lucky to grow up and have the films of the 90s. And I'm just hoping that one time we're going to get that spin back around to get more films like that. Because a lot of the films that are mine are like 70s or 90s films. You know what I mean? Yeah, we get a couple splattered throughout the 2000s and that, but like a lot of them, like we could do a whole 100 on just the films of the 90s.
Easy.
You know what I mean? Like easily. So that is my final induction for this month and this year. So Mr. Smith, give us the final nail in the 2023 coffin of our inductees with number 62. I do believe also a film from our glorified 90s.
This is absolutely true. Okay, so from 1997, directed by Curtis Hanson, we have LA Confidential. Now, LA Confidential is a complex moral opera set in the 1950s where cops, hookers, tabloid journalists, and gangsters mesh together through the day-to-day hustle and bustle of post-war Los Angeles. Ed Exley, played by Guy Pearce, is the new golden boy of the LAPD. Is determined to make it to the top of the heap, no matter who's in the way. However, his ambitions bring him into conflict with everyone, including Captain Dudley Smith, played by James Cromwell, who has a more experienced view of law enforcement. You've then got Detective Bud White, played by Russell Crowe, who takes great pleasure in beating confessions out of those he believes to be guilty, and Jack Vincennes, played by Kevin Spacey, a cop and celebrity schmoozer who works as a technical consultant for a popular TV cop show. Now, when a nightclub massacre leaves 6 dead, including a former cop, 3 black juveniles are soon arrested. However, this apparently cut-and-dried case soon snowballs, and Exley, White, and Vincennes soon uncover corruption that may lead to the very top of law enforcement. Also figuring into the expanding mystery is Sid Hudgens, played by Danny DeVito, who's the editor of a sleazy tabloid called Hush Hush, who gets tips of celebrity arrests ahead of time. And there is also Lynn Bracken, played by Kim Basinger, a call girl and Veronica Lake look-alike, who seems to be connected to the sleazy businessman Pierce Patchett, played by Dave Strathairn. Despite their antagonism towards each other, exacerbated by their mutual attraction to Lynn Bracken, Ed Exley and Bud White link up to get to the bottom of it all and serve up their own particular brand of justice. LA Confidential grossed $126 million against a $30 million budget and received 2 Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actress for Kim Basinger and Best Adapted Screenplay by Brian Helgeland and Curtis Hanson. And in 2015, the Library of Congress selected LA Confidential for preservation in the United States National Film Registry as culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Now, I don't know if you've ever read a James Ellroy book. Essentially, he does the same thing in every book, where he has three different characters pursuing three different things, and they all converge at the end. Now, that seems quite simple, but the world he's created, I think it's a shame we didn't get more stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I think this film gives us, because a lot of people were saying there's no way you could film these books, but I think these guys.
Curtis Hanson said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, I mean, as a reader of James Ellroy, I think they really pulled it off really well. But I just feel like they gave us the blueprint. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
And all the other James Ellroy books I've read, I just love to see them on the big screen. But you know what? You got such a great cast in this as well. You know, I mean, this film kind of gave us Guy Pearce. It gave us Russell Crowe, really.
Yeah.
Kim Basinger is just class.
And look, I know another guy, Kevin Spacey, a little bit of a checkered past, but he had a great run in the 90s. Great run.
As you pointed out, this whole 90s thing, I find it actually, I had to double check because I couldn't believe that this came out after From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. This was up against Titanic won the Academy Award. Titanic's a piece of shit. I don't care what anyone says. It's a dog shit. Doesn't even hold water comparing it to this film. Not even close. Just like when Forrest Gump beat out Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, like, it doesn't hold water against those films. They're just easy softball home run picks for the Academy Award, and it's too bad because a movie like LA Confidential was is a far superior film than Titanic. We're not even going to debate that because whoever wants to debate, man, that is out of their depths. I'll be honest with you.
I think where LA Confidential is quite lucky is the budget is all there. It's all up on the screen. It's a period piece, so you watch it now and it doesn't date the film. You know, the film is
and it's expertly acted, filmed, directed, everything.
Yeah. So yeah.
And it's the first film you've stolen from me. I had it on my list the first time. Oh, you fucking son of a bitch! Merry Christmas.
But yeah, so I mean, for me, this blew my mind. This film, and I saw this before I'd read a James Ellroy book. This turned me on to him.
This put you on him.
Yeah, and then I was just away, and I was hooked, and I read all his books. So yeah, there you go.
Well, there you go. Our last inductees for the year of 2023, number 59 through 62. They are from 2007, No Country for Old Men, from 1996, From Dusk Till Dawn, from 1996, Fargo, and from 1997, LA Confidential.
That will do it for another action-packed movie showdown. Now you can join in on the debate and let us know who you had as the winner of this month's head-to-head cinematic battle by following the show on all its socials. Those links can be found in our show notes. And be sure to join us again in 2 weeks for our latest episode of Dropping a Bruise, available, just like this podcast, exclusively on the Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, where you can find other amazing shows dedicated to such iconic action stars as Stallone, Lundgren, Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, and Seagal. The link to the network can also be found in the show's notes. We hope you'll drop in again next month to help us kick off the new year as we pit two underrated Arnold action flicks against one another, as 1987's The Running Man squares off against 1988's Red Heat for Schwarzenegger's supremacy. So until then, stay explosive, my friends.
This has been a Man with an Exceptional Beard production.